Hey there, welcome back to That's a Wrap for October 2021. This is the show where I run through all of the things that I've played, watched, and consumed over the past month of October, as well as look forward to the games that are coming out in November. So first up, I wrapped up 5 games this month. Not too hefty, but still a pretty decent amount of games. First, I finished Kena Bridge of Spirits on October 3rd. I had started that previously in September. I don't quite remember the release date, but I really liked it. I thought it was pretty fun. The combat system felt pretty soulsy to a certain extent, dodging and rolling, and the idea of collecting souls was definitely there, and using them to upgrade your character. But it felt unique enough that it felt almost like a playable Pixar kind of game. Of course, the challenge was there. I won't lie, I had to bump down the difficulty at the very end, because the last boss, or I guess second to last boss, technically was kicking my butt. I couldn't beat it. It probably took me 2 or 3 days of obviously not continuously playing, but on-off playing to be like, okay, no, screw this, I can't do it. So I decided to bump down the difficulty, finish the game, and wipe my hands clean of it. It was really fun. I would definitely say check it out. It is a cheaper release, so keep that in mind. So it is from a smaller indie dev, so keep that in mind when you go into it. I still think it's worth it. It is really fun, very challenging, but it does look really pretty while you play it. Second, on October 5th, I finished up Sackboy: A Big Adventure. So this had been a game I started on the actual launch day of the PlayStation 5. It took me a while to get back around to actually finishing this game. It's not bad. It's really fun. It's a really fun platformer. I love the idea of having these particular levels where everything is in sync with a copywritten song. It sucks for streamers and content creators, but someone like me who just talks about these things after I've played them, or just shows videos of them, not necessarily the audio, it doesn't really matter to me, but it's still really fun to experience, and I definitely suggest that until there are more games that are exclusively only able to be experienced on PlayStation 5, I would say check this one out. It is a pretty fun launch title. If you like the Little Big Planet series, I think you'll enjoy this one. Next up, on October 8th, I actually finished Little Nightmares. So, believe it or not, this game I had almost no interest in playing, and of all people, my dad actually played this on the Xbox, and he was like, hey, you should check this out. It seems like something you'd like. He was saying, I got stuck, I wasn't able to finish it, so at some point I'm going to go try and help him get past the parts he got stuck on. But I think I finished this in about a night or two. Super creepy. I'd made a couple tweets about playing it, and I totally missed the boat on this when this came out in Did this come out 2017? I'm gonna say 2017. So a little late on it. I was probably a point in my life where I wasn't really playing too many games. Actually, I can tell you for sure I wasn't playing too many games back in 2017. Bit of a dark period. Little Nightmares is very creepy. I do want to play the sequel at some point. Maybe I'll save that for next year. I know it came out either the beginning of this year or towards the end of last year, if I remember correctly. So that's more of a recent release. So it is something that I do want to check out at some point. But definitely Little Nightmares is creepy, short enough to consume in a session or two. And I think you should check it out. It is definitely a unique take on the horror, survival horror kind of aesthetic, and it's pretty fun. Kind of continuing on with it's October, so you got to play spooky games. I played Death's Door. I wrapped that up on October 16th. This was a bit of I don't want to call it a hidden gem, because I think it did get a lot of praise when it first came out, but I was aware of it, totally missed it. I think I got burnt out on the Souls-like games. And when I heard this came out, I was like, you know what? Nah, not my thing. I think at the time also it was an Xbox and PC exclusive, and I was kind of drifting away from PC gaming. My GPU's kind of old. But come October now and spooky season, I was like, you know what? Screw it. Let's pick it up. So I ended up picking it up on Steam, and I didn't regret it at all. It was really, really fun. Super challenging, but really fun. The characters were unique and interesting. You had, of course, the classic Pothead is his name. He was cursed by his grandmother, of all people, to have his head replaced with a big old pot. So he was really pushy about trying to serve you soup out of his head, which kind of unsettling, kind of weird, but really funny. As well as I guess you could call him an undertaker, the gravekeeper, who couldn't die. Bit of irony there. But it was a really cute and charming little game. And we'll get to the upcoming releases section, but it actually was just announced for PS4 and PS5 and Nintendo Switch. So if you haven't had a chance yet to play, if you don't own a PC or an Xbox, you'll get your chance coming up. And the final game I wrapped up in October, which was on the 24th, was Alan Wake Remastered. So I played through the whole main campaign, then I played through the first, I guess it was a DLC when it first came out, and then I played through the second DLC, but only partly, because I was trying to go for the trophy where you don't die through the whole thing, and I was at the very end, and I walked off an edge, and I died. So, needless to say, I was a little bit more than upset, so I was like, in a fit of rage, I uninstalled the game. I was like, I finished it. I'm not going to go back to it. But honestly, I think at some point I'm probably going to go back and try and get the platinum, because it's a fairly straightforward platinum. There is a difficulty option, of course, but I think with enough determination, I think I should be able to do it. But I'm not going to do that anytime soon. Might save that for another year or two before I go back to it. But Alan Wake still holds up, even better remastered. First time on a PlayStation system, because previously I had played this through my Steam account, and I think even before that it was a 360 exclusive, so that's a bit of history there. It was really fun. I think you guys should check it out. Again, another cheaper release. It wasn't a full price game coming out from Remedy. And if you are at all interested in Control or have played Control, this will give you some backstory on some of the Alan Wake DLC that was found in that game. So this month I decided to add 3 new sections, which hopefully won't make this video too absurdly long. But the first up is comic books I've read, or comic book series I've finished this month. And only 2. Nothing ridiculous. I've just recently started getting back into the world of comics and manga and reading again. And I thought, again, October, what better place to start than the Bloodborne comic? And I shouldn't have. I don't know, it was fun. The art style was really cool, and the characters were interesting, and everything was... It felt like Bloodborne, but I hated the writing. I couldn't get behind it. I thought it was really... How do I say it without sounding mean? I thought it was really kind of on the nose? Sure. It wasn't great. It felt pretentious. I'll be totally honest. It felt pretentious, and I couldn't get behind it. It ended just fine. It looked cool, though. You saw places in Yharnam you recognized, and you heard of characters, and you saw monsters you recognized, but it kind of left me feeling hollow, which kind of sucks, because I really did enjoy the game, and a few of the issues were interesting and unique, but just not really my thing. And then today, actually, the day of recording this, October 28th, I finished a far better series called Gideon Falls. So Gideon Falls is really weird. It's one of those series that the art style is weird, the story is weird, and the premise is kind of weird too, but it all kind of works. So essentially, you have these characters who are trying to prevent a cataclysmic event, and it's all caused by an evil spirit that lives inside a barn, to put it simply. But it's also that there is a multiverse happening, and the artwork gets really trippy, and this being eventually takes over, and the characters work together to try and like shove everything back together and piece the world back together. And I kind of loved it. It was really, really cool. It's one of those series I think I could see them trying to adapt it, but I don't know if it would work. Adapt it to TV and movies, I mean. I don't know if it would work, though. It seems too unique and too out there, but who knows, weirder things have been adapted, weirder things have been turned into different forms of content, so who knows. But all I know is that Gideon Falls is fantastic, and if you read comics, you should check it out. So next up, the movies that I watched in October. On October 3rd, I actually watched the new Venom movie, Let There Be Carnage. Waiting to hear cries of anger and pain. I thought it was actually pretty good. Sure, Woody Harrelson really is kind of weird in this movie. I felt like they could have done better casting someone else. But the big reveal at the very end, post-credits scene end, was really cool, and it kind of made it worth it sitting through that. I won't spoil it here. I'm sure you can go look online and see exactly what I'm talking about. But the implications for greater Marvel stuff is really cool. And I don't know, I thought Carnage was a really cool symbiote. Venom, of course, is interesting. Eddie Brock and Venom, and the way they fight and bicker with each other is really cool. Whenever I think of Venom, my brain automatically goes to the Sam Raimi Spider-Man 3 Venom, which I know isn't fair because that's not the best depiction of Venom there ever has been. But for sure, the Venom in the original Venom movie from, what was that, 2018? Was it that long ago? 2018, 2019, whatever that was? I think it was 2018. And then Venom, Let There Be Carnage. I love this depiction of the character. I think it's really, really well done. And then October 7th, I went to go see the new Addams Family 2 animated movie with my girlfriend. It was cute. I liked it. I saw a lot of hate that I got, but I think a lot of the times, people become disillusioned to who movies are targeted at, and people tend to forget, it's a kids movie. Of course, kids movies can still be good. I mean, looking at most Pixar movies and whatnot, but I still thought it was fun. It's always funny to see Snoop Dogg as Cousin It. That's always entertaining. And the shenanigans that the family gets up to, it's fun. It's interesting, and seeing them visit Texas and that, and travel around the country, and then come visit Arizona where I live and see the Grand Canyon. It's all fun. It was all a good time. And then finally, didn't watch too many movies this month. I just recently, on the 23rd, watched the new Dune movie. Have no experience with Dune. Never watched the original 80s. I think it's David Lynch film. Haven't read any of the books. Didn't know anything about it going into this, so I was a little confused. There was a lot of back and forth and pausing the movie and being like, okay, let's turn subtitles on so we can follow along with what they're saying. But I came away loving it. I forget the director's name, but he directed Blade Runner 2049, and movies I'm forgetting. Enemy, I think it was. I think that was the Jake Gyllenhaal movie. But I thought this was really, really good. I loved the cinematography. It all came together really well, and I'm really excited for the sequel that was just recently greenlit. I am curious to see how this story gets resolved. I'm curious if it's going to be a 2-parter, a 3-parter. Honestly, this could be the sci-fi equivalent for what Lord of the Rings was. I'm just throwing it out there. I could totally see that happening, where Lord of the Rings ended up being this huge, massive franchise. Now, granted, the first one came out during the pandemic, so who knows if this movie has legs to even get to a 3rd film. I'd love to see it, but I don't want them to stretch the movie too thin to be boring. But this first one was really fun. I figure I'll wrap this little media consumption section up with TV that I've watched. I've been awful about trying to watch TV, but I've slowly been trying to get back into it. And this month I finished 2 TV seasons. First up, on the 8th, I finished Nathan For You Season 2. If anyone's not familiar with it, it's a show where a comedian goes around and gives less than sound business advice to different businesses around the LA, California area, and usually shenanigans ensues, and it's just ridiculous. And it's the comedian loves to see how he can poke people's buttons to get them to react certain ways, and I love cringing and just wincing at it. And I don't know why, but it's just something that I love laying down at night and watching and just being like, oh, I don't want to be in their shoes. And then on the 22nd, my girlfriend and I finished LEGO Masters US Season 2. So we watched the previous LEGO Masters US Season 1, and I didn't even realize that this was a show from the UK. I thought it was just an American thing. Come to find out, there's LEGO Masters Australia, UK, probably China, Brazil. Like, it was probably a LEGO Masters from all around the world, and I had no idea. But this is the one in the US hosted by Will Arnett, and it's pretty good. It's fun. I don't normally go for these kind of reality game showy kind of TV shows, but this is really fun. I love Lego, so seeing what these people can create is just mind-boggling, and I think it's a really fun time. And the final and biggest section of the video: upcoming releases in November. The following list of games can be found in the description below, as well as the Wikipedia link that I use for each and every month of releases. On November 2nd, we have Cupid Parasite on Nintendo Switch. Knockout City just recently announced for the PS5 and the Xbox Series systems. World War Z for the Nintendo Switch. On November 4th, we have A Boy and His Blob for Nintendo Switch. Just Dance 2022 for Nintendo Switch, PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Xbox Series systems, and Stadia. Tales of Luminaria on iOS and Android. Where Cards Fall on Windows and Nintendo Switch. On November 5th, we have Call of Duty Vanguard coming to Windows, PS4, PS5, Xbox One, and the Xbox Series systems. And interestingly, Kid A Nizia Exhibition to Windows, Mac, and PS5. This is the interesting Radiohead interactive re-release of Kid A. I'm not really sure. I mean, it's an exhibition, so there's going to be virtual art installations related to the album. I'm a Radiohead fan, and I'm just super curious to see what the heck this is. I hope it hits that November 5th date, because I'm definitely interested to check it out. On November 9th, we have Blue Reflection Second Light coming to Windows, Nintendo Switch, and PS4. Forza Horizon 5 coming to Windows, Xbox One, and Xbox Series systems. Now I'm really excited for that. I've not really been keeping up too well with the Forza Horizon games and Forza games in general, but Forza Horizon 5 seems like it's going to be really interesting. I love the setting of Mexico, and I think it's going to be a really, really fun and interesting location. And then finally, we have Jurassic World Evolution 2 coming to Windows, PS4, PS5, Xbox One, and Xbox Series systems. On November 11th, we have The Elder Scrolls V Skyrim Anniversary Edition coming to Windows, PS4, PS5, Xbox One, and the Xbox Series systems. Now, I know the whole joke is that Tim Howard is always re-releasing and looking to re-release this game on every system imaginable. And will I buy it again? Probably. Yeah, if I had to say so. I love Skyrim, and it's going to be really fun to play it again, and God knows when we're going to get Elder Scrolls 6. We're definitely getting Starfield before that, and I'm probably going to buy either a new Xbox or a new graphics card, whichever one happens first, before that, because obviously it's probably not going to come to the PlayStation systems, my primary place I play. So, kind of forcing my way into getting a new Xbox. We'll see. But I'm probably going to give Skyrim another try, and on the PS5. That might be kind of fun. We'll see. Then we have Grand Theft Auto, the Trilogy, the Definitive Edition, coming to Windows, Nintendo Switch, PS4, PS5, Xbox One, and the Xbox Series systems. Another game that I have played each one of the installments, 3, Vice City, and San Andreas, a handful of times. Never finished any of them, interestingly enough, but I've played them here and there on various systems, PC, PS2. maybe the Xbox? I can't remember, but definitely PS2 and PC. So chances are I'm probably going to pick this up because it looks really cool. I'm interested to see how... I mean, obviously we've seen from trailers how it was redone in the Unreal Engine, but playing it is something else. So I'm really excited to see how it feels. Keep this one in the back of your minds as November 11th comes around. Next up is PUBG New State, coming to iOS and Android. And then finally, Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic, coming to Nintendo Switch. On November 12th, Shin Megami Tensei 5, coming to Nintendo Switch finally. I know those of you who are really excited for this have been waiting quite a while. On November 16th, Grow Song of the Evertree, coming to Windows, Nintendo Switch, PS4, and Xbox One. Sherlock Holmes Chapter 1, coming to Windows, PS5, and the Xbox Series systems. Surviving the Aftermath, coming to Nintendo Switch. And The Waylanders, coming to Windows. On November 17th, Clang 2 is coming to Nintendo Switch, PS4, PS5, Xbox One, and the Xbox Series systems. On November 18th, Microsoft Flight Simulator Game of the Year Edition is coming to Windows, Xbox One, and the Xbox Series systems. November 19th, Battlefield 2042 is coming to Windows, PS4, PS5, Xbox One, and the Xbox Series systems. And then finally, Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl is coming to Nintendo Switch. I'm super excited. I'm going to give these a try. I know the chibi art style is super divisive, but I think it's going to be really fun. It looks like they've added a lot. They've really gave the original DS games a new breath of life, and I think they're going to be a really fun time. On November 21st, Re-Legend is coming to Windows, PS4, Nintendo Switch, and Xbox One. On November 23rd, Death's Door, as I mentioned at the top of the show, is coming to Nintendo Switch, PS4, and PS5. Final Fantasy XIV Endwalker Expansion is coming to Windows, Mac, PS4, and PS5. And then to wrap it up, on November 30th, Beyond a Steel Sky is coming to Nintendo Switch, PS4, PS5, Xbox One, and the Xbox Series systems. Clockwork Aquario is coming to Nintendo Switch and PS4. Evil Genius 2 World Domination is coming to PS4, PS5, Xbox One, and the Xbox Series systems. So that's it. That wraps it up for this month. Hope everyone had a fun time playing your own games, consuming your own shows, reading your own books. Let me know what you read, watched, and or played this month in the comments down below. Are you looking forward to any games coming out in November or December or 2022? Let me know. I'm sure we'll get around to those at some point. So, thank you for watching, everyone. I'll see you in the next one.